Little old lady got mutilated late last night. Werewolves of London again.
So it's a bit. I would still support the Jaguars if they were no longer the Jacksonville Jaguars, but maybe the Edinburgh or the Manchester or the Everton Jaguar. I don't know, whatever's over there.
One of them places.
The Tottenham NFL on Premier League announcer.
Your British accent sounds like someone from England having a heart attack and a stroke at the same time.
Someone that has swallowed their own tongue. And it's accents, a lot of it's just about saying the right thing. But the Jaguar to London pipeline, I think it's a real thing, and I don't have any evidence beyond the fact that they just go there to play. It's not the closest city to London. It's not the furthest. It's definitely, but there's no London to Jacksonville flight. They might charter one directly, but they're doing it, and I feel like that's just putting the feelers out to see if it's going to be worth it. I mean, you could do it. You have college teams that play college sports that are based in Hawaii that come to the States to have to play. They could fucking do it. They just play a batch of games at once, and then teams would come visit them. And I think the players would love it. I think the fans are going to love it. You got then all these fans, they got the money, and they need the reason to go to London. They got the money. They need the reason. A lot of these football fans, they got this extra income where they're buying season tickets. They're doing the tailgating thing because in life they're lost. They don't know what to do. So they do go through the motions of all the things that the other people in their life do or what they thought should be good. Now they're of the age to be doing it, and they can take on the cost of the ticket, and it would be fun for them. And they take their family and their friends and they give it out as a gift because they know that the team is not going to do well. So it's not going to be like they're in contention for a playoff. But if they did have a playoff scenario there, that would be very exciting for the fans, seeing real playoff football. And there's always in London, the Jaguars when they go to London.
In London.
Yeah.
I feel like teams would be pissed to have to go play a playoff game in London, though.
Maybe.
But it's honestly not. I mean, listen, to go from Florida to California is almost as far.
Yeah,
New York to London is almost the same as New York to California. I don't know the exact distances.
As we talked about before, the worst part about air travel is having to wait the 8 hours before the flight and the 7 hours to actually get from the runway to your gate to the jet bridge. Just the 16 hours before and after you're actually in the air for a couple hours.
Finish up football talk. I want to talk about my team real quick. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh
Steelers select Kenny Pickett.
Hell yeah.
Out of the University of Pittsburgh.
In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Quarterback.
Wow. Oh, wow. They went hometown.
39 years after they skipped over Dan Marino. You know Dan Marino?
Where
he went to school?
Yeah, other famous Pittsburghian.
Hit.
Yeah.
You know who was terrible in the 80s? The Pittsburgh Steelers were real bad in the 80s.
Could have used
and you know why?
Marino magic.
Yeah, they really could have.
Yeah.
But they go ahead. Big Ben Roethlisberger's now retired, and they're going to take on Kenny Pickett here. They got Mitch Trubisky as well, and we're going to see here Pickett versus Trubisky, who's going to be the starter this year. So we're not really sure. We got George Pickens here, also wide receiver from Georgia, and then some other guys. DeMarvin Leal, I like his name a lot.
Xmas Jackson, Flaxen, Waxen, California, University of Pennsylvania.
Guys to play defense. And then a smattering of some other people. Overall grade B- for the Steelers.
Well, you got 3 out of the top 4 offense skill guys, hands guys, as they call them.
Yeah.
We're used to saying.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
You get a guy who can throw the ball. You get guys who can catch the ball too. Hey, how about that for logic?
Yeah,
and logic, right?
being like of the same class. So there's some solidarity there too that you could build some possible camaraderie.
Yeah, they know they're going to be playing together for at least some point in time.
I did not know that a friend of the show, Roethlisberger, had gone on. So he's going to be in the booth, huh? He's got to be going into the spotlight, right?
I think what he would say is that Christ will lead him in the direction he needs to go, and God will basically let him know what he wants, what to do next.
Amen.
And so I saw him. He was going to some hockey games. Like, he's a big Pittsburgh star, so you can basically go to like Penguins games, Pittsburgh Penguins hockey, or like Pirates games. Yeah, just show up and they'll let him in with his family.
He's been given the key to the city a long time ago.
Yeah, no, really, he just shows up and they give him a jersey with his name on it. I hear he's going to like women's indoor football matches. Also, I don't think he really knows what to do with himself. Ultimate frisbee games for in Pittsburgh he's heading to, seeing who will let him in to different sporting events. Sounds like an issue to me, mentally. Good luck to him.
Is he a millennial?
Is Ben Roethlisberger a millennial?
Got to be like close to 40, right?
He's 38. When he must have been born.
He's the top tier millennial.
I think he was 5 years older than me, like 1982.
Yeah, I remember it's about 7 years younger than me.
He's 40. Yeah, he was born in 1982, so he's just turned 40.
Fellow Pisces, right on. That's where his magic comes from.
Am I still sharing?
Yes.
Okay. So let's get over the sports ball for now. We've done enough of that. The Steelers are going to be Super Bowl champions this year.
As long as we are confident and united, the tyrants we are fighting do not stand even a small chance of victory.
Hot prediction coming in.
But for all our international viewers or listeners, that was my attempt at a Pittsburgh accent. I was born there, so sometimes it comes out. Sometimes it's just a bit foolish.
One of the most beautiful places on earth. Isn't that interesting?
Our accents are some of our strongest points.
We're doing like 40 hours a week of this show, and we're only putting out about an hour. So you can only imagine how much is getting trimmed, how much fat is getting trimmed.
It's a bunch of 6s and 7s, isn't it, folks? See, our accents are the strongest part of our show and our entertainment. Moving on, we got a new article.
Millions of bees
die on an airport tarmac after Delta reroutes flight.
So this woman, Sarah McElray, had ordered 800 pounds of bees up to Atlanta. That's 5 million bees.
It was going through Atlanta, right? It was going to Alaska. It was on its way to Alaska. They're looking
from Atlanta.
So I'm assuming here they're looking for honeybees in beautiful Alaska.
No, so the flight carrying the bees from California to Alaska got diverted to Georgia.
Yes.
Which I have no fucking idea how that happens.
I know why, but keep going.
That's like a flight from London to Paris got rerouted to like Buenos Aires, Argentina. Like it literally doesn't align with anything I understand, but Ryan's going to get to that in a second. So basically they brought these bees from California, supposed to go to Alaska, for some reason stopped in Atlanta. And they were going to wait in Atlanta.
Yeah. They're weighed by the pound.
They're going to chill in Atlanta. They had them cooled indoors. And apparently they started escaping because they're fucking bees. The company moved them outside onto the hard tarmac where the crates baked in the sun. Every bee died.
Yeah.
Every bee died. All 5 million.
Yeah. Yeah. How much is 5 million bees? The article quantifies.
Oh, at least half died. Sorry,
as,
I want to get it accurate.
Okay.
At least half died.
And how many bees is that? The article says like approximately
5 million.
800 pounds of bee. So
400 pounds of at least 400 pounds of bees
right
were dead.
So there's some container poundage, some of the honeycomb pounds, and you imagine a bee box and a beekeeper with their gear on. They got the thing and they're lifting the waxy comb out, and all the bees are around it, and they got that little plastic clear cube that they go and find the queen, and then they take the queen and they relocate and then that's how the rest of the bees follow. It's the hive mind. It's a beautiful creature that is responsible for all the wonderful pollination and growth in the ecology, and it's a big part of so much important stuff that frankly is nerd shit. But to speak on how such a thing would happen.
Delta spokesperson Catherine Morrow called what happened an unfortunate situation and told the AP that the company had apologized to McElry, who's the Elrea, who's the woman who had ordered the 800 pounds of bees. She added that Delta had taken immediate action to implement new measures to ensure events of this nature do not occur in the future.
Wow. So thoughtful.
When it became apparent how dire the situation was, beekeepers coordinated to rescue as many of the survivors as possible. More than 20 beekeepers showed up, breaking open crates, providing emergency sugar water to feed the bees, and transporting them to new homes. The exact number of dead bees is unknown. Morgan estimated at least half died.
This is exactly why I don't mow my backyard. My backyard is filled with regionally important flowering weeds that come up this time of year. And actually, I did notice the bee increase. When was this? You know what? I probably
2 days ago.
I probably got some of these bees to my yard. So great timing.
They died. They think they died, but they
Folks,
actually teleported a mile to your house.
I'm coming up with this in real time as we're listening and we're discussing this. This is a good thing for me because, again, bees are good for plant life and the entire structure of the ecology that we exist in. We are a part of this earth, and the bees are part of the things that frankly, it's complicated science, but we know that they're important. Now, how would these bees just be left outside? So sure, they're escaping. They're escaping.
Some Delta employee went into a warehouse where they're keeping these bees in Atlanta. Some Atlanta troglodyte goes into a warehouse, sees a couple bees buzzing around. What's going on in here? Yeah. They call the manager of the warehouse. He's like, listen, we're storing about 800 pounds of bees in here. And this Delta manager says, and this Delta manager sees like a few flying around and then gets stung. He's like, get these bees out into the tarmac immediately.
Someone, just a manager that was afraid of bees, was like, no, we can't have this indoors. No. Not that. Okay, we're gonna work through this here. When things are put together on they're loaded at the facility for cargo, and then they're transported out. Put the crates on the cart. They put the crates and then picked up and hooked up to a little tractor. We're recording. You got your screen shared?
I'm just looking at girls on Facebook.
Yeah. Okay. These carts are misplaced and they're forgotten about, or the assignment to go pick them up was by a human individual that has about 7 different bosses telling them to be 8 different places. And depending on the entirety of the map of logistics happening in that moment would depend on where that person needs to be at that time. When you pick up and you drop off all day, there's going to be some interchanging. And when you're working on the ramp of at least North America's biggest airport, you might get a little bit confused about what cart you're picking up. But also, if you're someone responsible for such a cart, you might misplace a cart very easily. And it happens all the goddamn time. If you've ever arrived to a place and your luggage hasn't followed, there's a good chance that the bag just fucking fell off the cart, because that's also what happens. You're racing around the tarmac, you're making sharp turns and things are falling off the carts all the times. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a bag fall off the cart and then get run over by the cart. And it's dragged and it's skidded, and then we have to make up something essentially to why that happened. And so when they say that there was bees escaping, I'm questioning that there's bees escaping. What I do know is that there's a huge problem with staffing, because staffing is expensive, and that's a cost that takes away from the line item of profit. And when the profit is down, then you don't have the same level of trust, and the investment goes away, and then you become not number one. But Delta is number one. And folks, this is our best fucking effort as a country. Delta Airlines is our best airline. This is all we can give. And it happens all the time. Because you know what else is lost? Humans and your personal possessions. They lose dead bodies. They lose the fucking caskets that are in the boxes that shipped all day long. Folks, if you don't know, there's dead bodies transported in the belly of the aircraft along with your luggage sitting right there. Often your luggage is stacked on top of the dead bodies. You have no idea, because there's all types of shit underneath there, because that's how
the dead bodies in some type of protective layer, I would imagine.
Yeah, imagine there's, you're sitting next to 150 people on your aircraft, and you're going to wherever city, ski town or something, or you're going to a beach town, you're making your travel arrangements. And sure, maybe like half the people paid like for the ticket, and the other half of the people are on some kind of voucher or some kind of discount. So maybe half of it's good profit, other half is like a wash, and that's going to take care of some of the bill. But a lot of that bill is the bullshit that's underneath, the stuff that might need to go same day that they're going to get a lot of money for. So this person who is, I'm imagining she's a cottagecore lady. She's trying to get pollinators in her brand new, she just moved she was living in Bushwick, and now she moved to Alaska to start she's starting her new TikTok channel she is a barefoot pregnant wife. Their partners
why? But okay, that's hilarious. But
she's
funniest
just
thing is
ordering 800 pounds of bees to pollinate her 7 acres. It's a good idea, and she's getting into beekeeping. And now this tragedy struck, and somebody's like, "Yeah, we gotta write an article about this." But folks, this happens like literally every day with these companies.
I just imagine this Brooklyn hipster girl, like, it's my dream to move to Alaska. And
pandemic opened it up for
start a
him.
farm.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, whatever, cool, let's do it. And she gets out of her lease because has some money from an inheritance somewhere, like $10,000, puts down a down payment on like some acreage in Alaska. Okay, what do we do now? Well, we need to start making our own food. So maybe they've already planted a garden, starting on that path, and just all of a sudden decides, we need bees. We need bees.
Yeah, because they want to produce their own local honey, so they got to ship in bees, so they can bring to the town farmers market, so it can be more like.
And she gets on the phone. She's like, Hi, this is Rachel. We want to get some bees. And the guy's like, okay, well, we can send you bees. It's this much per pound. How many pounds do you need? I don't know how much is like a lot. I'd say about 800 pounds would be a significant amount. Okay, that sounds good. And how fast can you have them here?
Okay, and what's your address and what's the diameter of the hat that you're wearing right now? It's a terrible thing to lose such a beautiful creature that helps with so much. But it's going to happen every day. There is nothing in our society that structures above the bottom line. The bottom line is what rules us, folks. I guess the lesson on this is don't be afraid to get your bag, listener. Don't be afraid to make that money, because that money is what's going to help you make the right apology to the public or get the new batch of whatever it is you're shipping to gentrify, I don't know, whatever you're doing to your newest rural community, because there has been that exodus from the cities since the pandemic. People in small towns all across the country are loving the attention that they're getting from New Yorkers and from Los Angeles. They're loving their attention from these bigger cities, this influx, and they 100% have convinced themselves it's because their community is so great.
Mm-hmm.
So have fun with it. Go nuts. Post on Facebook about how important your community is and why. Every day there's just more and more people coming to your town. It's just like getting harder and harder to get through the drive-through at your local Starbucks, and it's like, oh, this sucks. I don't like it, but you know what? It's only going to get worse. So enjoy it right now. Enjoy how it's fun right now, because the things and the treats and the resources, there's not enough cannibalized labor sources to keep these things moving in the way that we grew accustomed to. Our younger listeners might not have any idea what it's like to be able to go to a fast service food place and not have to wait in a long line, or to show up and it just not be mysteriously closed or out of the main ingredient that you're going there to consume. That used to be a part of this country. You could just go to a place and just kind of assume that they would be in business because they're a business, so they would be in business. You just assume that. You're not an asshole to assume that. No, not at all.
So one of our first episodes, we talked about your Walmart closing early, like the Walmart near you.
Yeah.
Is that still the case?
Oh, yeah. It's definitely still not 24 hours. And I remember a time and place where McDonald's were 24 hours. I don't see any of those around. Last night, I did a ride where I took some younger ladies picked them up. They're coming in from New York and they're really hungry. And they're asking if there was like any food around and if they could go through a drive-through. And I said, absolutely not. But I said it in a nice way. And I just had to explain to them, like, look, it's not a good situation here. If we want to go north of town about 20 minutes into the frankly white suburbs, we could find some accessible things. But where we're going, well, I could take you to the gas station. You do what I do. We just see whatever they got. Maybe they got a frozen tray of dough, cheese, or something that you could heat up in your microwave. You could have your sad meal for the day. You got to have you meet your minimum of your weekly sad meals from the gas station. And then sure enough, we get off the expressway and I was like, you see what that is? It's just there's a McDonald's, there's a Checkers, and it's just lines wrapped around the building. And I was like, and they started laughing, and it's like, I'm not trying to be a dick. Y'all are cool, but I'd love to help you out, but I'm not going to do that for you because we'd be there all night. And they understood it. They understood what was going on.
At that time, there's like 2.5 people working at that Checkers.
Yeah, and it's not their fault because they're actually just the only ones that showed up. Because frankly, there's always been staffing issues, and we, as a Gen Xer and millennials, we stopped having children at the same rate. So you think about my age and your age, like if we were to procreate,
I thought there were a lot of us though.
Right. But we're not procreating. So the number dropped off. The birth rate didn't hold up like the growth rate. And that's the biggest thing about our system.
That's really fucking expensive. I saw an article the other day about how like having kids now is like a rich luxury.
Right. We talked about that. They're going to be around. They're going to be in your fucking house. You're going to have to pay for them well into their adult years.
Expensive.
Yeah. Most the articles like, half of children can no longer grow up because they can't afford to. And it's like in most simple terms, it's like what's happening. And I get less and less upset with previous generations because fundamentally the world that they learned and were reared in is completely different than what it is now. So they have like very little grasp on what's actually happening. They can't explain it. Everyone feels that the vibe's off. It's not what it used to be, but there's no real capacity to explain it because it's very much off. It's like if you were just, dropped into a new country after, your first 35 years on this planet, and then boom, everything is different. It's in a different language. It's not even the same alphabet. How you got to take a lot of time, and you're not going to want to learn it, and you're going to just prefer a translator. So you turn on Tucker, and Tucker's going to translate it into the language that feels right because he's emotionally driven. He's charged up about what he feels, and it's what you feel too, because it takes your values.
Oh yeah, bro.
It takes your values and it spreads them like a smooth, rich butter on the toast that you're smelling.
Thank God,
because you're having a stroke.
And you sound like Ryan with his English accent.
Oh, blimey, isn't it?
Pretty sure that's a hate crime in some regions.
I just did a slur right there. So life's great. We keep this good vibes train a rolling. We are the train. The articles are the coal. Hell yeah. Badass MFers chugging along on some sweet coal, providing just a smooth ride across the countryside. We might have some proper pollinators along the way. There might be some flowers out there, or the bees might have got lost in transport. RIP to those bees. We dedicate this episode to the
RIP to those 2.5 million bees, those hustlers, those fucking gangsters who didn't make it.
Yeah.
Who didn't make it.
Pour one out right now. Take your soda, listener, and pour one out.
Pour out 2.5 million seconds worth.
Take your off-brand Yeti. Pop that lid off of your off-brand Yeti that you got right there,
and drink that 3-liter colas they sell in a Dollar Tree, out in Tallahassee,
and roll down your window and pour out 2 million of the tiniest drops.
The red drink. Who's the comedian that talks about it? Purple drink, sugar, water, and purple.
I want that purple stuff.
I want to give credit where credit's due there. That's not my joke. However,
look at that hot dad. Justine allow
Yeah, look at this hot dad.
Does Justine allow you to be looking like such a thought?
She took this picture.
She letting you be a
thought online? She said, hey, you should make this your Facebook profile. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll do it.
Look at that cute kid. Oh, yeah,
he's
just
an adorable fucking animal. What are you kidding me? He's a fucking animal. He's a legit animal. He just runs in my room and yells at me. And he picks something up and he throws it at me. Then he runs away. He goes, kicks his sister. He's an animal.
Oh yeah, having an older sister is pretty tight. You don't have siblings, right?
No, and that's why when Justine and I talked about having children, I was like, listen, I was an only child and know what that's like. It's pretty horrendous. So if we're going to have a kid, we're going to have 2. That's at least the minimum.
The younger one, the son, if they do turn out to be interested in girls, that they're gonna have a good angle there. Because you like growing up, my sister was 2 years older than me, and I would be talking to girls in this connection.
Oh yeah,
and the socializing.
I was never around that. I was like terrified of girls because I'd never been around them.
It's helpful.
I didn't know how to socialize with them.
Yeah,
but not only is my son gonna have his older sister, he's gonna have me. He's going to have me as a man to tell him exactly what works because I know what works.
Sigma male grind set in the brain at an early age.
You know, my dad never told me anything. He said, just put a condom on. You know, he's like, just put a condom on. He's like, me and my friend, we used to get into a ton of bad stuff. Just put a condom on. Dad, that was his only advice. It wasn't like, listen, when I was your age, it was really hard to talk to girls. Let me talk to you a little bit about how you need to act and how you need to be around girls your age so that they'll treat you like a normal person and that you'll be able to have success with them. All right. So that you're not coming off as weird or awkward or anything. Let me give you some advice because I know what it is to be 13, 14 and literally there's so many hormones flowing through you right now. Let me sit you down and tell you about how that goes and how they want a man, like a boy, to act that they're going to like. All right. This is timeless, believe me.
All I can think about though is you going up to your dad and your dad saying, just put a condom on. And you're like, hey, Dad, I was just going to ask if I could borrow the car. We're going to the movies. But he's like, just put a condom on. And you're like, well, we're going.
But I could tell. So when I think I was 16 when I got my first blowjob and he let me borrow his car. Mm-hmm. And I remember taking it. We went somewhere. I had this little girlfriend, this girl, she was like half Trinidadian, half Ho. I don't really remember exactly.
Sounds hot.
Yeah. Yeah. She was really cute then. I mean, for whatever, 15, 16. And we went to the movies. My dad let me take his car. I was 17 for sure. I was 17. And I remember her giving me a blowjob in the back of my dad's Pontiac G6 with the cloth seating. And I didn't really know what I was doing. And I busted a nut right on his seat, you know, and it's cloth. And I was 17. So I didn't really think too much about it. Right. I was like, I didn't really know what would happen. I kind of just, I might've put a towel over it or something, but I didn't really clean it properly. And you know, my daddy's very particular. So he came in the car. He asked me, he's like, what? He pointed to this thing. He's like, what is this? I was like, oh, I spilled some Sprite in the back, but he knew exactly what was going on. That car had to have smelled like there's no way it did.
Just that potent hormonal like funk. There's a scene in The Righteous Gemstones, the newest Danny McBride on HBO, but you got to catch up on that. He's got a family and he's got like 3 boys or something. In one of the episodes, they're dealing with the youngest one just coming in all of their towels or something. No, he would like come in his underwear and then he would hide the underwear so no one would see it, but then like they were finding it in weird places. And you know, just the Danny McBride like acting through it, brilliant and funny, and thinking about like all the fun that you'll be into as a dad, having to deal with that.
For sure.
Like absolutely knowing what's happening in their bodies.
But I didn't have a dad that gave me any fucking attention or talked to me at all about any of it. I know you didn't either.
I think that's pretty relatable for a lot of our viewers.
Like it was just not a conversation at all.
Yeah.
So how I went through this all on my own. I didn't have any guidance from anyone. I didn't have an older brother who could help me. I didn't have a dad who was interested in telling me anything about the way things were, what was going on. I just had to fucking deal with it. I just had to figure it out with my shitty friends in 9th grade, 10th grade that were just on the same shit as me. Not knowing shit about fuck and not really just being awkward and weird all the time, trying to figure it out with no guidance, no masculine figure there to guide any of us for the most part.
It's a tough time for a boy. When I was young, my dad was like really open about like not having any type of restriction and like God, I was probably early middle school, maybe even elementary school. I think he was talking to me because I was like staying up late in the living room watching HBO and Cinemax. So he probably knew exactly what I was doing. And, like, he was there, and he was a real social guy, but also had his own issues, and then was like quickly gone after that. So there's that, like, I had to figure it out on my own. But there was like that initiation through like later elementary school to basically be like, well, you're a man now and it's okay. And like, I just, from 6th grade on, I had a bicycle and I live, a mile away from my school. So I'd ride my bike to school and I'd just kind of be on my own. And like, I was walking home like 2 miles or something in elementary school. And I go back home. I forget about this stuff. And then I went back home, last year, and I visited my nieces that are now in elementary school. And like, there's no way letting kids just walk 2 miles. And that's every day. That's not just what I was doing. And so I just had this freedom to roam. And on the way, there was the little convenience store where I'd get my meals from, the candy. There's at the bottom rack. There's just the 3-cent candy gums and shit you could just grab by the handful. And so it was like,
you make it sound like you were around a long time ago, but this is like 2000.
Yeah. It's like, damn, when they say times change, they really do, because kids just wouldn't be doing this. And there was no one really around to say like, oh, well, are you sure you're okay? Or because times are different.
No one thought of asking you that, huh?
I've been diverted off the path of the straight and narrow because of a lot of opportunity to just get. And I
feel like everyone was just worried about their own shit.
Yeah.
Like the kids, just to be the kids. You're just kids. You exist. Yeah. We're just worried about our own shit. We got our own shit going on. We're baby boomers.
I heard earlier, like the end of the blog era, because let's face it, blogs aren't like what they used to be, right?
Dead.
The end of the blog era ended the self-segregation of society. When you end the self-segregation of society, then we're all forced to be on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. And then when that happened, like, we didn't really know what we were stumbling into. And also, we still haven't completely figured it out, how to navigate through all of this. We know that we don't really like living a life where we just scream at each other online, or we'll kind of go through phases as a society where it will be the thing or it won't be the thing. And that will probably run around the times of the major elections. But it made me think like, I never really thought about that before. But yeah, blogs were a thing, but now blogs are dead. So they took away the blogs from us. And all we're left into interacting with is massive platforms that everyone can be on board with. So you're on, we're on, everyone's on the same Facebook that will be the metaverse at one point. But before, you were into your blog, if you were of that age group, if you were a Gen X and you were like us, but you were just the next age group above us, you were on your Ancient Aliens blog or whatever.
No, but people
sustainable farming.
I think going back to the point is that people kind of let their kids just like fucking.
Yeah.
Like if your parent was a baby boomer, they were too into their own shit, no matter what it was, to really give too much of a shit about you.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's different now. Like parents are so much more attentive and like everything's so much more on top of the kids.
I know now like a lot more into my neurosis and insecurities, like having to have a completed self from an early age, when that's just not possible. You can't be a child and be a completed human. You're completely still developing. And so it causes all of these improper divergence of growth where you're not really on a straight line to become an adult. You've like already had to proclaim yourself as the proprietor of your own decision making, which is just, it's insanity. It's absolute problematic. But then I get older and I realize like, they just had me when they were fucking 20 years old. And it's what they had to do. But great show again.
My carriage has turned into a pumpkin. It's time for Cinderella to go back to her closet.
Okay, you got to go meet up with your mice.
Yeah.
Having a heart out is just as important as having a heart in, which is just as important as having a heart on.
I don't have enough intelligence to piece that together.